Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue 52, and before we go any further, technically we missed it last week, but because last week's issue was officially the 52nd week of Stormbringer magazine, because you have that 1 week gap between issues 1 and 2. So yeah, we've been doing this for a whole year, so pretty cool stuff, and genuinely it's been quite fun. Anyway, issue 52 comes with our first Kharadron Overlord mini, so we get the Endrin Master with deriggable suit. So this chappie is a bit different. So he is a flying mini, so he is a dwarf holding a pack that lifts him into the air, and yeah, he can fire crap out of it. So quite interesting, quite different, and very, very unique. So Kharadron Overlords are pretty cool. I have some Sky Wardens from a few years ago. I have Jakob Bugmanson, which was one of the commemorative minis, and I have one of the other most recent commemorative minis as well. I can't remember its name, which was, I think, a store anniversary mini from last year. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. I genuinely do kind of like them. They're quite interesting. They're very, very different. They have some really unique units as well, which we'll see later on, but we don't get any of them really. So there's things like the frigate and the gun hauler, which are pretty damn cool, which are just basically floating ships, which yeah, is pretty nifty. So anyway, this one's really cool. I'm looking forward to getting going with this guy. Just from looking at the picture though, personally, I would have him built as 2 sub-assemblies when you get painting. So build him on his own and then the suit on its own as well. Paint them up, put them together. That way you can get more detail in and get into all them nooks and crannies without having to essentially fight against the mini to do so. But otherwise, it should be fairly straightforward. So pretty cool, pretty happy with that one, and it'll be nice to get going with that guy. So obviously, it's the first Kharadron Overlord, so we are of course greeted by Kharadron Overlords inside the magazine. So Kharadron Overlords are brave explorers, inventive artisans, and guileful merchants. Their society is highly technological and they rely on cunning and artifice to prevail. The Kharadron Overlords are an advanced people who live in great skyports high in the skies of Shaman. Their society is a strict meritocracy that is dedicated to the pursuit of profit. Many of the Kharadron Overlords work as prospectors, traders, or mercenaries, and they use the advanced technology of their society to overcome the many dangers of the skies. In the highest and bleakest sectors of the air, they survey and mine the precious ether gold that powers their ingenious flying machines and deadly ethematic weaponry. So, Kharadron Overlords are, yeah, essentially capitalists. So is probably the best way to describe them. They rely on kind of trade and being very mercantile. So they rely on a lot of kind of trading and all that type of stuff to prevail and to kind of get where they're going. They have some pretty cool weaponry as well. So although it's not Warhammer 40k style weaponry, it's still weaponry that is pretty damn unique and pretty unusual. So they have like these ethematic weapons that use the ether gold to power themselves and fire shot or disintegrating particles and such like, which no other race in Age of Sigmar has. So it's very, very unique. They're not relying on bow and arrow or anything like that. They are relying on some highly advanced stuff. So pretty cool and pretty different. On the other page we do have a bit more information about the fact that they are the Lords of the Sky, the power of invention, and ether gold itself, which is obviously a wondrous substance that powers the Kharadron Kharadron's great inventions. It is believed to be the breath of the god Grungni, mixed with the dust from his forge. Ether gold floats high above the clouds, so Kharadron overlords must brave great peril to find and mine this elusive material. And then moving on, we're going to move into one of the stories, so Path of Glory. So the Stormcast tunnels were created to turn back the tide of chaos. The war was never won, and the forces of chaos have clashed with Sigmar's armies countless times. Here, a band of Chaos Warriors encounters a Stormcast army marching across their land. So, as you can tell, it is all about chaos and Sigmar's armies and Sigmar's chosen warriors, so very, very different. Pretty damn cool, and yeah, could be a really good one, so happy days, and it should be really good fun. And you get some nice artwork as well, with one of the Annihilators smashing the hell out of some Chaos Warriors, because that's always good fun to see. Anywho, moving on, we obviously have our page for our Endrin Master, so obviously you can give him his origins, you can give him his name, and you can give him his traits as well. So, pretty cool stuff, very, very different, but yeah, have a bit of fun with it. It's unique, it's different, so why not? And they are very, very unusual. Now, moving on, we have our build guide. So, the build guide does have your building up the chappie himself, and then the suit itself as well. So it does advise you to put it all together, but obviously paint it before you glue it to the stem. I personally would go slightly differently. I would probably build the chappie up, paint him, and then quite possibly build your suit up separately, just to make life a little bit easier on yourself, and then glue it all together. Shouldn't be too difficult to do, because there's no parts that are really kind of connecting. You just literally, that backpack bit just slots on and sticks onto his back, so it should be relatively easy to do. So, you know, there's nothing stopping you from doing it as two sub-assemblies. It's exactly how I would do it, in all honesty. And then, moving on, you got your paint guide. So your paint guide advises you to use Rune Lord Brass, Baratnar Burgundy, and Lead Belcher. In all honesty, yeah, I kind of agree with it. It's a pretty decent colour scheme. It'll work very, very well. Entirely up to you how you want to go about doing it though. You can obviously always choose different colours. So you could go with golds, you could go with coppers if you wanted to. Entirely up to you. Have a think about it. Play with your colours. You don't have to use Baratnar Burgundy. You could go with blues, you could go with reds, you could go with pinks, you could go with greens. It is your choice at the end of the day. The one thing I would always do though is have a look on Google to have a look at how other people have painted up their Kharadron overlords to kind of work out the scheme that you want. Or if you want to, you can find out different colours for different companies and skyholds and such like, and do it that way. So it's always worth having a look online. So then moving on, he does advise you to paint up in certain ways. Paint scheme, in all honesty, it's pretty decent. It's not too bad. It's a very worthwhile paint scheme. I mean, one of the things it does advise you to do is because of where you've got to glue the exhaust and kind of like the flying stem, essentially. It advises you to put some tack over that area, which is a very, very good technique to make sure you've got it, because it has a good purchase then. If you're trying to glue over paint, you're more likely to kind of have an issue with it, because the paint acts as a barrier and stops it from kind of plastic glue from merging together and melting together like it's supposed to. So there is always that to look out for. And when you finish painting it, it will look like that. There will probably be a few little tips and tricks that I'll add on to it later on, but otherwise it's not too bad. It's a pretty decent colour scheme. It does work very, very well, and it's not too far away from what the colour scheme is for the official GW artwork, in all honesty. Then we have our Warscroll. So obviously he does have an Ethermatic saw, he does have an ether cannon, and he does have a weapon suit a weapon battery on his suit as well, so he does have some really good range and some not too bad short range. So pretty cool stuff there. So obviously, you know, best of both worlds for range and melee. So have a bit of fun with that one. Then we have his tutorial about how to utilize him and how he works and such like. Then we move on. We have our order tactics for the Arch Revenant, where I can learn to speak. So he is a duelist, and it's a pretty decent one. So it's got a good maneuverability, good versatility. However, it does tend to be a priority target with it being a hero, and also the brand strafe as well listed on there. So it's pretty good stuff, and you know, definitely worth it. So not bad at all. And then we move on. We have our battle plan. So our battle plan is forged in war. So the Valley of Fire. We get our plan. So obviously you're picking your army. So pick your hero options and pick your troop options. Have a bit of fun with it. Whether you're forces of destruction, forces of order, you're gonna have a good battle. So why not? So pretty cool stuff there. And you can see how their playthrough kind of went, and I'll tell you how they went about doing it. And then moving on, next week we have 2 paints, so not the best issue. We have Green Camo, which is pretty good, and we have good old Stormhost Silver. Stormhost Silver is very, very good and very, very much worth it. So it can come in in a lot of handiness because it is a nice bright silvery colour, so definitely worth it. And then issue 54, we get the Sneaky Snufflers. So these are grots that are kind of herding squigs in a roundabout way that are very unusual with big noses and very, very different. So pretty cool stuff there. And we'll move on to bigger and better things. So really, really good set of issues to come. So it should be really good fun. This one I'm looking forward to getting building, although I am behind on all my building because of old world stuff and new job. But yeah, anyway, all good fun. We'll catch up eventually, and yeah, a lot of good stuff to look forward to. So happy days. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. If you're looking to get started in the Age of Sigmar though, or you know anybody who is, I am putting out some videos. They're worth checking out. They're based on my personal opinions. If you want to get a fairly decent selection of minis for £200 or less, and where you can buy them from. So if you are going to be buying any of them, buy them from Element Games because you can save some money. If you don't want to buy from Element Games and you want to go into your local GW store, you're averaging getting closer to that £200 mark, but you can get some really, really cool units for that price and a decent variation. Now, if you want the best value for money with any of them, always buy 2 of the boxes that you can get, whether they're the Vanguard boxes and stuff like that, because you get double the minis, which is pretty cool and pretty nifty. But anyway, that's it. Enough rambling from me. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye bye now.